Andrew Schultz is officially beefing with everyone's most hated comedian, Brendan Schaub. Now, this little beef is something that's kind of unexpected, but at the same time expected. The signs were clearly there. If you just look a little hard enough, go to their subreddit, just go to the dark side of the internet, basically. Now, of course, with all the recent drama surrounding Brendan, this was obviously leaked by Brandon's ex-handler, Mark Harley. This dude has been on a tear recently, talking about all of Brandon's issues, all of his beef with everybody, his whole situation, even the Bobby Lee situation a little bit. And I mean, we all know how that's going for Brendan. This all started when Mark Harley ended up posting on the Fighter and the Kid subreddit. Yes, something that is owned by Brendan Schaub and he has control of. But of course, his time in the UFC has given him a bit of brain damage. And because of this, he ended up forgetting that Mark Harley literally has access to a ton of his accounts. At one point, I'm pretty sure he even ended up posting on Brendan's Twitter. So Brendan, get that sorted out. Now, this right here is the post that Mark Harley ended up posting. Snagged from Cloud's folder I shouldn't have access to. Oops, are you Team Schultz or Team Schaub? Let us know in the comments. #engagement. Now, probably asking yourself, what's going on here? I mean, all I see is Brendan Schaub and Bruce Buffer. But if we look at one of the comments right there, you don't want this smoke. And I don't know about you guys, but this sounds awfully similar to something that else says. A famous comedian. And if we put all the pieces together, it sounds exactly like Andrew Schultz. Jesus Christ, Brendan, why do you have to beef with every single comedian that has a way bigger following than you? Jesus. Now, if we want more context on the situation, we obviously have to see the follow-up that, Mark Harley ended up talking about even more underneath that initial post. So after watching the promo, something to consider. In the video, Brendan slams on the brakes and tells Bruce to stop screaming. It's just a comedy show, not a cage fight. So if Schultz became aware of this line, this may have come off as Brendan taking a shot at Schultz. Even though Schultz had been using Bruce to announce his shows, Andrew's special shouldn't be released until after Brendan's promo aired, so most fans would see Bruce using Schultz after Brendan seemingly mocking the idea that Bruce hypes up his comedy shows. So maybe it wasn't so much perceived theft of the idea as a perceived undermining of the idea, if you get what I mean. That wouldn't have Coke out yet, which is a more relatable thing to get pissed about, and this would fit with the general pattern of how Brendan behaves. He mocks and undermines those close to him, but pleads innocence and victimhood when called out. Brendan didn't draw this connection when he told me what happened, but it seemingly makes Andrew's reaction much more sense. And perhaps the "you don't want this smoke" refers more to the idea that he and others might be forced to comedically clap back at him for trying to make a comedic shot at what Schultz is doing in his special. And if you know Brendan's the type of guy to always want to go the physical route when it comes to these situations. I mean, especially the way Andrew Schultz it, "you don't want this smoke." I mean, if I'm a guy like Brendan, even I might think, yo, what's he trying to get at? Is he trying to come at me? Because, I mean, he can catch these hands. I already got a little brain damage, so, ain't nothing much to lose up here. Also, I don't understand why Brendan is talking down on Schultz with collabing with Bruce Buffer on that one intro that he had for his shows. Because, if I'm being honest, it's a badass intro. And if you haven't seen it, I'm putting it up right now.
The infamous Andrew
I mean, after watching an intro like that, who wouldn't want that? It's sick. I mean, seriously, having Bruce Buffer announce it, keeping up all that hype, I mean, that's so awesome. I would want something like that. Me personally, I think that's a great idea. The Fighter and the Kid subreddit might be the most bipolar subreddit. One minute you have Brendan being exposed for being just a snake and talking shit behind people's back. Then you have posts like these talking about how Andrew Schultz is a pussy about the whole situation. My favorite part about this beef is Schultz clearly tries to threaten, I guess that's what they call call him. And Brendan actually takes it serious, and Schultz immediately shits his pants and goes, no, not like that. But I think this whole "you don't want no smoke" is more of like in a comedic sense. I think it's more of like a, hey, if you do this, just so you know, I'm not delusional. I understand all that this and this, and you're taking kind of shots at me. And I also understand when it comes to the whole comedy scene, people really don't find you funny, and a lot of comics don't really like you. So if you do this against me, I won't hesitate to fire back a little, just like the whole Tiger Belly situation. But then it even gets like crazier, because then you had the whole subreddit just talking about trying to figure out a solution to all of this. This post also says it. Appa, I guess that's what they call him, owes BGL 15k. Schultz owes 15k. Schultz should pay BGL the 50k, then the universe will finally be restored. I don't think that's gonna happen, to be honest. And this whole situation is like, why does Andrew Schultz owe Brendan 15k? Well, of course, these guys are comedians, so they all have to go to the godfather known as Joe Rogan, the Allfather, the Odin Asgard of the whole comedic scene. And they obviously always got to go to Big Daddy Joe to help situate, the problem. And of course, they ended up telling Joe. Joe knows the whole situation. Joe's is like, connecting the dots, being like, Brendan, you're clearly talking shit on, Schultz's whole thing. But at the same time, you spent $15,000 for this. Have Bruce, and Brendan's asking you to not post it. So it was one of those situations where, like, Brendan, Joe ended up connecting the dots, and he was like, all right, don't post it. You're clearly taking a shot at Schultz, but Schultz, you give him 15k, because Brendan ended up spending 15k. And of course, by this post, he never ended up paying him the 15k. And that's basically all of the beef summed up at the moment. Brendan just talking shit once again at another big comedian, and once again, a fight that he's probably not going to win. And he clearly ended up trying to take a shot at him by saying that line, and then Schultz not paying him back. And if you actually peep some of Schultz's content, like his podcast, he actually ended up having Brendan on there. Except he wasn't in the title, he wasn't in the thumbnail. He put something completely different, a completely different topic. And, if you're going on one of his episodes and you're trying to find out where's the Brendan one, yeah, the name and thumbnail is not going to be there for Brendan. Which is one of the situations where, like, Schultz is a little, I guess he deserves it. Schultz can do what he wants. It is his show and all that. And he is taking, a slight little jab at Brendan. Because, when it comes to this whole comedy thing, Brendan, I don't really think you're cut out for this. Not as a hater, but as a actual criticism. But yeah, that basically sums up everything. Mark Harley once again starting the beef, connecting the dots, publicizing everything. This is honestly insane. And leave in the comments what you think about this whole situation, because 1 minute you have one guy taking shots at you, the next minute you have that's the other guy, he owes you 15k. So it's kind of like everything's going everywhere all at once. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.